Yo, what's good? It's your boy Damien here. Welcome back to my channel. We like to talk about finance, like self-improvement related things. Just trying to be a well-rounded person in general. Let's get into it. Today, we're gonna be talking about lifestyle inflation. But what is it? I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory to be honest. But lifestyle inflation is like when you start getting a certain amount of money and then you gradually increase your lifestyle, like your spending, your luxuries, and all that good stuff. For example, say you remember when you're like high school or something, and you've got your first job, and now you actually have money to spend. So you start getting like new clothes, new shoes, new this and that, whatever hobbies you're into, you start like spending more and more money. That's like a super minimal example of what it would be. But a more legit example is for like, if you look at a recent college graduate and then they land a job between like 40 to 60K. So they go from being a broke college student to now they're making like a decent amount of money, like around the median or average. And then now they're like, oh, I can actually afford to buy food and stuff now. And then they get like a brand new car, and then they get like a new crib, and their general life expenses just go up. And you could see how this obviously isn't the best way to go about things, because yeah, you're making more money, but you're also spending more money. And then, I mean, it's not about how much money you can make, it's about how much money you can keep in the long run. So just like any other inflation, like just general economics, it's not good to just have rapid lifestyle inflation. This is also how people get in debt, because eventually it'll all catch up to you if you're really just spending basically everything that you earn. Any traumatic thing that happens is going to derail your entire thing. And then this is also how people get into situations where you can't even like take a vacation or anything, because all your bills are taking up all of your income. But with all that being said, let's put a spin on it, because I'm going to tell you why it actually isn't necessarily a bad thing. Because I mean, there's two sides to every coin, and this is the good side that we're going to be talking about today. So take this with a grain of salt, because it doesn't apply to every situation. It's not just a blanket statement here, but hear me out, because I think a little bit of lifestyle inflation is good for you. Like how they say everything in moderation, the same thing with stress. The thing is, inflating your lifestyle adds a little bit of pressure for you to push a little bit further, to make a little bit more, because you gotta pay for these things, but you also wanna make a lot more than what you have to pay for said things. So here's my personal story with lifestyle inflation that I'm using to vouch for my claim here. So back in September or August of 2020, like I didn't have my own car up until then. And then I got a job that pays a little bit, or not a little, like a really decent amount above minimum wage. And then I started working full time. So that's the part where your income increases, so you can actually have said inflation. But then this job is still a decent ways away from where I live. So obviously you need a car, because I tried the Uber thing for a long time, well, a couple weeks or so, but then I ended up spending so much more on Uber than what I would be making per day almost. This was before I started like fully going full time. So then I did the calculations, and I was like, well, I mean, if I had my own car, because I was using my sister's or parents like every so often, like not every day, just whenever I can, because like schedules and whatnot. Like if I had my own car, it would be so much less stress trying to figure out how to get to work every day. And I mean, in the long run, it would end up being less than having to Uber to work every day. And then I'd also be able to work overtime without having to like check in with anyone, being like, yo, can I keep the car for this long, or can you pick me up at this time? Because like I'm not trying to take an Uber at like 2 or 4 in the morning. So long story short, I ended up buying my mom's car, which is that Honda, and then upgrading to the Audi. So the first part of the inflation was just buying the car in general. And then it actually ended up making me more money, because like I said, I get to work more overtime, and then I can book more shoots and stuff around my own schedule, not other people's schedules. So ended up making more and more money because of the transportation. And then when I upgraded to the Audi, I was like, well, now I'm putting pressure on myself that like the monthly payments and stuff. Like you have to make the monthly payments. And then I just started putting in more work everywhere around my life. Like it's not like I was working to pay my bills. It's like I already like the grind, but this put it a little bit like extra kick in the butt for me to be like, yeah, let's put in this work and generate this income. So then there was that level of lifestyle inflation. And then now recently how we moved into this new crib, moving out, like that's a big step in lifestyle inflation. But it's not necessarily a bad thing because now I have more space to like create my YouTube videos and just like work in peace and the peace of mind of doing so. And then the same thing with the car payments, it's now like the rent payment. When I was originally debating on whether or not we should like buy a property or rent a place, I was talking to one of my cousins about it, and he said like he was on the side of getting a property, and he was talking about a mortgage and how like, well, once you get a mortgage, you start thinking to yourself, oh, this is serious now. Like I got a mortgage to pay. Like I'm an adult, you know. So then you start thinking of your purchases a little bit different because you have more things to worry about. So it's like the same concept of a little flame under your butt, like telling you, you gotta step it up, you gotta pick it up. So I went from a conversation that I was having in like March of 2020 of how am I supposed to move out and such, like, oh, I barely make $1,000 a month, to now where it's like, if I make $1,000 a month, I'm kind of scared, like that's not gonna be able to work. So like to an extent, lifestyle inflation can be a good thing because it pushes you to do more things, you know? Because if you were to ask me again, like last March, or literally like a year ago now, if you were like, oh yeah, you're gonna have this nice crib, and you're gonna have this German whip, I'm gonna be like, bro, I don't even have a whip. I've been talking about having a whip for like time, but now I'm gonna have like a year later. Like you never would have gotten to that point without taking those extra steps or like taking a leap of faith that you can do it and you can believe in yourself and you can trust yourself. But again, you also don't want to get into a situation where you're spending basically all the money that you make on set expenses, because I mean, yeah, it pushes you to make more money, but it also pushes you to make, or it pushes you to make more money, but it also pushes you to spend more money. So you still gotta figure out that balance and make a lot more money than you're trying to spend. But that's why lifestyle inflation, in my opinion, isn't the worst thing ever. Like I said, everything in moderation. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Maybe like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. We're signing out.